नमो विष्णुपादाय गौरपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमद्भक्तिप्रज्ञान केशवैति नामिने वंशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदन्नाय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरतिसे नमः। गुरवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकायै तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः। तवैवास्मि न जीवामि त्वया विना इति विज्ञाय राधे तं मां चरणं। First of all, my hearty obeisances in the Lord's feet at my Paramadhyatam spiritual master, Sri Srimad Bhakti Pragyan Kesava Swami Maharaj, and same in the Lotus feet of my Siksha Guru, Nitya Leela Prasung Vishnupada Sota Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj. Prem Vivarta. Once Raghunath Das Goswami asked something to Swarup Damodar, what should be my activities? How should I do bhajan? Asked Mahaprabhu, and then Mahaprabhu told, ग्राम्य कथा न सुनिबे, ग्राम्य वार्ता न करिबे. You should not tell বিষয় কথা. ভালো না খাইবে, ভালো না পরিবে. Don't take worthy clothes and tasteful preparations. Amani manat hai Krishna naam sadalave. Giving man to others, giving respect to others, don't hunker for self-respect and Krishna always. So these upadesh are for always for you all, not for Raghunath Das Goswami. And this is the answer of all the question you do. Braja Radha Krishna Seva Manuse Karibe. And from taking the procedure of serving Radha Krishna in mind, in heart, and you should do Manushi Seva. এই আজ্ঞা পাইয়া রঘু পুছিল তখন, বুঝিল তখন, প্রীতি না হয় কবু জড়েতে সাধন। Then Raghunath Goswami thought that priti is not a thing between ladies and male of this world. মানুষত্ব সিদ্ধা দেহ করিয়া ভাবন, সেই দেহে রাধা নাথে করিবে সেবন. And then by taking the procedure from Gurudev, always serving Radha Krishna in mind, in heart. Bhikshahen sahisnuta apane karibe. Always be tolerant like trees. They don't live for themselves, they live for others. Their barks, their seeds, their fruits, their shades, their everything is for others. And if They are dying for water. Even they will not ask for you. So be tolerant if you want bhakti. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also said this. Bahya dehe Krishnam sarvada sarvakal bhaga. And by this turn always Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Even in sleeping time also you should do. Antardeha thake Radha Krishna Seva. By mind chant, by this tongue chanting her name, and in mind, remembering the sweet pastimes of Krishna. So, Raghunath Das Goswami has also told, like so. Rupa Goswami, may you bless the last essence of all. Tannama Rupa Charitadi Sukirtananu Kramena Rasana Manasi Niyojya Tisthan Praje Jananuragi Jananura Kalam Ned Akhilam Yuttu Pradeshasana. Be situated in Vrindavan, because Radha and Krishna always in Vrindavan. And by turn, always chanting Radha Govinda, Radha Gopinath, Radha Madan Mohan, Hari Hare Namah, Krishna Jadavaya Namah, Jadavaya Madhavaya Kesavaya Namah, Gopal Govinda Ram, Shri Madhusudan, Giridhari Gopinath Madan Mohan, Radhe Jai Jai Madhav Daiti. And is remembering the sweet pastimes of Krishna. If Radha Damodar, then Dambandhan Lila. In this way you should go on doing. Bhalo khawa, bhalo para, parityag kari. Don't hanker, don't go after always delicious foods, delicious hotels, delicious clothes, nothing. Only to have anyhow our maintain our life, nothing else. So Rupa Goswami has also. So I think our classes are here, conference is totally successful. All are happy. Anyhow, good cooking, good arrangement, and good, most of all, good Hari Katha. Best Hari Katha here. So I think that all are happy here. Now we will begin Krishna pastimes. And also I want to give my heartily blessings and thank to manage this huge crowd here, devotees. So for this, Krishna Das and his friend Dharmaraj and party Dharmadas, and so on. I don't remember their names. You should know that Srinivas also, my heartily blessings and my thanks to you that you have managed so well. And also my heartily blessings to Sannyasi Padmanam Maharaj, Nemi Maharaj, and all. Oh Shyamrani, oh Vichitri I thank you for this very good festival, successful. Now we will begin Krishna Street pastimes. I wanted to finish so many, but we could not he cannot. First of all, how the gopis of neighborhood, motherlyhood, they used to complain to Jasoda Maiya. Oh Maiya, Krishna is very naughty. And he, anyhow, with a crowd of boys, and he enters in our rooms and stealing butter, milk and everything. And if not, we have stolen away in another place, then he, pinching our babies and they began to cry. Sometimes so many. Then Jasoda Maiya thought that what I prepared butter, oh, it is not so sweet because my maid servants start doing. So today I will milk myself, or high class of cows, Padmagandha and others, and I will myself make very sweet yogurt and makhan, butter. So he gave up on leaf all and alone, and she was doing so, and now he was chanting Govinda Damodar Madhuri, Govinda Damodar Madhuri, Govinda Damodar Madhuri, Govinda Damodar Madhuri. Oh, after that, you should try to tell something.
Haribol, Achyuta Beta Ki.
Srimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj, to all of our disciplic succession and all the assembled devotees. Srila Gurudev has ordered me to share with you the very beautiful story of the Phal Vikrani, or the fruit seller. One of the essences of this story, of this history, in Krishna's pastimes, is the benefit of sadhu sangha. The fruit seller was living in Mathura, and of course everyone living in Krishna's village of Vrindavan are all great sadhus. So people would come from Vrindavan to Mathura for selling or buying or just traveling. And in this way, from some of the travelers, she heard about the very wonderful son of Jashoda and Nanda Baba. How he was so charming, and he would carry his father's slippers on his head as a servant, or sometimes he would try to carry something and he wouldn't be able to carry it because it was too heavy for him. She would hear about the very sweet pastimes of Krishna and about his beauty. So she became attracted to have his darshan. So she went to Vrindavan to sell her fruits there. And she went by the area near Nanda Bhavan, the palace of Nanda Maharaj, and she would call out, "Follow, follow, take fruits from me, take fruits, take fruits." And she would try every day to see Krishna. But sometimes he was sleeping, sometimes he was out playing with his friends, and sometimes he was lying in the lap of Mother Yasoda and drinking her breast milk. So every time she tried, he was nowhere to be seen. So the nature of bhakti is that the more one puts his consciousness into it, the more one's thirst for it grows. So now, the next day, she was determined. If I don't get Krishna's darshan today, I'm not going back to Mathura. She was so determined. Srila Gurudev said, do or die. He said she was fixed in her vow, and we should be similarly fixed. My vow is that I attain Krishna Prem. So I'm going to chant my rounds every day. I'm going to read the books of my Gurudev and Guru Parampara every day, which gradually give me relish for Krishna Prem. So she had that strong determination. I once in my great pride asked Gurudev some years ago, when will you give me my spiritual body? So Gurudev said, when that's the only thing you want. So she had that strong determination. So she again went near the area of Nanda Bhavan, but now she was so much in trance that she forgot her fruits and she began calling out, Govinda lo, Damodar lo, Madhava lo, take Govinda, take Damodar, take Madhava, forgetful totally of who she was and what her duty was there. So from early in the morning till noon, she went around trying to sell her Damodar, Govinda, and Madhava. Finally, she became somewhat tired and sat down at the doorway of Nanda Bhavan. Krishna, seeing her great do-or-die determination, took some small grains from the storehouse, some corn grains, some wheat grains, some other grains, and began carrying it. You can imagine, he was 2 years old, 2.5 years old, quite naked, wearing only a chain with golden bells jingling and tinkling, a sound which charmed even himself. And he took those grains, but you can imagine a little 2-year-old baby's hands, fingers all separated. By the time he reached the fruit cellar, all the grains but 2 or 3 had fallen from his hands. So what did he have to offer? So he went to the fruit cellar and said, give me some fruits, give me some fruits. He had very greedy eyes, Gurudev said. Why? Because he was greedy for her beautiful heart that only wanted him. And it took the form of greed for the fruits. He saw the golden bananas, the mangoes, the grapes. Give me some fruits. And she, seeing him in that beautiful, charming way, she became totally enchanted. And she said, I may give you some fruits if you sit on my lap and you call me mother. So this was a great problem for Krishna. Here he is, the prince, the baby son of the king. And if anybody sees me calling this low-class saleswoman mother, they'll all laugh at me. So he looked around to see if anybody was looking. Coast was clear, so he very quickly jumped on her lap. Mother, give me some fruits. And jumped right off. This was enough to totally capture her heart. Her heart was no longer with her. And she started giving him fruits. First, Krishna held out his hands, but his hands were so tiny. So now he held his arms into his chest and fit all the mangoes and other fruits that he could. And then, just as she had realized the only way to meet with Govinda, she realized is Nam Sankirtan. And that's how she began in her full trance chanting his names. Just as when Krishna left Rasalila, the gopis realized the only way that we're going to get Krishna's darshan now is by weeping Nam Sankirtan. So she also took that method. So now her heart was totally lost. Krishna left her as soon as he got the fruit and began dancing off to Mother Yasoda. At which time he put the fruits in her veil. She said, oh Krishna, where have you gotten these fruits? She immediately started distributing them to all the gopis. And although hundreds of gopis came to get those fruits, they were never finished. They were unlimited. Mahaprasade Govinde Nama Brahmani Vaishnave "Oh Mahaprasad, you're non-different from Radha Govinda. You're non-different from the holy name, which can create and destroy millions of universes in a moment," as Gurudev told all the new initiates. "You are non-different from the pure Vaishnavas and Brahmanas. Therefore you can give me whatever they can give me. You can give me Prema Bhakti, you can give me Kamamika Bhakti, and you can take away all my anarthas, all my impediments." So Krishna Prasadam is non-different from Krishna, unlimited. So the supply was never finished. And in the meantime, what was happening to the fruit seller? Completely without her heart, without her mind, forgetting who she was, where she was, only remembering Krishna, because now her heart was with Krishna, in Krishna. So finally the hours were passing, she wasn't going home, and somebody came to her and said, "Excuse me, aren't you supposed to be going home? What are you doing here?" Then she remembered, "Oh yes, Mathura." So she took her fruit basket, put it on her head, and as she was walking, she came near the Jamuna. And she realized that this basket is getting very heavy. So she took it off her head to see what it was, and she saw that the whole basket was now full of diamonds and rubies and pearls and other jewels. So she put the basket back on her head, tossed it way into the Jamuna, because she had no need for these insignificant things. When one gives to Krishna everything he has, then Krishna gives everything he has, which is his whole self. So in trance she went off, and Gurudev said where she went, nobody knows. She was in trance and more than trance. Gurudev said perhaps Krishna took her body at that very moment, took the outer shell, and took her to Goloka Vrindavan. She was in Shanturati, like no relationship, but because Krishna saw her as something like a mother, he gave her position more than Kubja, more than Putana, a position very close to his heart in Goloka Vrindavan. So many lessons in this very beautiful Leela. Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari.
Now, Nanda Baba, his brother Upananda, and all, they did a meeting. Oh, now in Gokul, so many problems are coming, so many demons. Putana came, Trinavarta, Saptasu, and so many. And now there are no grass to graze for cows. So we should give up this place and we should go to Vrindavan, where Jamuna river is there, a very beautiful forest there, and all kinds of fruits, vegetables, and everything is there. So we must go there. And thus, by lakhs and lakhs, cows and goats, they all crossed the river Jamuna and they went to Vrindavan, very beautiful forest as you have seen there. And there, Krishna now is about 5 years age. He told his father, mother that I want to cow grazing, I want to go. But mother told him, you are very small boy after some time. But he was again and again praying that mother and father, I must go. Because our father, mother, you are also grazing cows. Then they told him, engaged him to graze only calves. And then he began to do. In the meantime, one day, Krishna was nearby to Jamuna Hrada, not Jamuna river. Very near Jamuna river, there was a very deep like lake, and And there, when Krishna went with the gops and gops, cow herding, then they took water and they faint. At once they died. Some of the friends of Krishna also they died. Then Krishna told that, oh, Kali is here. Kali, very big serpent. He has thousands of hoods. And always that pond used to boil like. And so any birds even upon this used to fly, they used to fall down and they used to die. So Krishna thought that I must control Kali and I should drive him out from here, and anyhow he promised himself that I must do. So what became after that? Damodar Maharaj will speak. But in brief,
Guruve Gaurachandaya Radhikaya Tadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadavaktaya Namo Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadha Shiva Sati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. First of all, I give pranams to Sri Gurudev, Tridani Sannyasis, Vaishnavas, Vaishnavis. So Gurudev has given me order to speak about Kali Daman Lila. But it's very big pastime, very hard to speak in brief. So on the morning walk the other day, then Gurudev quoted the prayers of the Nagapatnis. They prayed Kasanu Bhavas Asyana Deva Vidmahi Twadangri Renu Sparsadikaraha Yadvanchaya Sri Lanat Ajara Tatapo Vihaya Kamanya Suchiri Dritta Brata. They asked, we don't know what good activities that Kaliya performed that he could get the touch of the feet dust of Krishna upon his head. Because Tad Vanchaya Sri Lanat Ajara Tatapo. Because even Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, performed austerities for a very long time, but she could not achieve the foot dust of Krishna. Therefore, Sri Sanatana Goswami has explained, in his previous life, Kaliya was a king, and there was some drought in his kingdom. Therefore, he took advice from the Brahmanas who said, O king, any problem in the kingdom is the fault of the king. Therefore, if the king can become sinless, then rain will come. So they went to worship one sadhu. That sadhu was living in one tree hop. So Kaliya came to worship him. And when we greet a sadhu, first we wash their feet. So that sadhu, he put his feet outside. And Kaliya saw that sadhu had leprosy. But what to do now? He washed the feet of the sadhu. Then you have to drink that foot bathing water. That is very, very powerful. Vaishnav Padaduli, Vaishnav Padajal, Vaishnav Bhukta Avashishta Etin Saranbal. But he could not drink the water because this had blood, bits of skin, leprosy. Therefore he was afraid to drink it. Therefore he put it on his head. That sadhu said, oh, you have no faith in me. You are like a snake. Because a snake is very nice outside, but inside full of poison. Actually, you have no regards for the sadhu. Isn't Rupa Goswami said, Brahma Dharmagata Idagachita Niradarme. Even sadhu has some fault, some disease, some rough behavior, some low birth. It does not matter. He is still completely transcendental, just like the Ganga. So the sadhu cursed him, become a snake. But then Kaliya began eating, and the sadhu said, but at least you put it on your head, so I bless you. The Supreme Lord Sri Krishna will dance on it. Therefore Kalia, he took birth as a snake, and he had a great enmity with Garuda. Garuda used to come and eat snakes here and there. Therefore snakes would give an offering every 15 days for Garuda. But Kalia was envious of Garuda, therefore he used to eat the offering before Garuda would come. Therefore Garuda beat him with his wings, and Kalia was suffering very much, and Kalia ran towards Vrindavan. There was one lake to the side of the main current of the Yamuna, and that place Garuda could not go because one Subari Rishi had cursed him. "Oh Garuda, if you come here, your head will crack to 1,000 pieces." Therefore Kalia was living there, and he was so much on one island. In that island was many holes, and Kalia and his wife were living on that island. So when Sri Krishna jumped in the Yamuna, then so many big waves came, and those waves went in the hole of Kalia. Actually, without the grace of the punishment of Garuda, then Kalia also cannot have the good fortune to meet Krishna. Kalia thought, Garuda is my enemy, but a sadhu is ajata satru, a dosadarshi. A sadhu never thinks anyone is my enemy. Even though Kalia meant ill for Garuda, Garuda meant only good fortune for him. Therefore, another reason of Kalia receiving the mercy of Sri Krishna was the punishment of Garuda. And the sadhu's punishment is their blessing. Sadhu never does anything which is inauspicious for anyone. So when Krishna jumped in, so many high waves came, and those went in the hole of Kalia. Then Kalia became very angry, and he came out, and he challenged Krishna. What did he see? Tat prekshani sukumara gana ganadvam Srivatsapita pasanam smita sundarasyam. He saw how beautiful is Krishna's form. Kriditam apatibayam, kriditam apatibayam, komaloda angri, sandasmamormo sabuja rusa chadai. He saw Krishna's beautiful form, gana ganadvam, like a dark, more beautiful than millions and millions of rain clouds. Susmitasyan, with a very nice smile. Srivatsapita basanam, with yellow cloth and dots around his neck. Very beautiful lotus feet. But when Kalia saw him, he felt ecstasy of love. He thought, I will kill him. Even though many demons saw Krishna when he spoke Bhagavad Gita, they could not understand Krishna because they had no devotion. Krishna says, Bhakti mam avajanati yavanyasmat matattvataha. Arjuna, I am only understood by bhakti. Therefore Kalia he tried to bite Krishna, he grabbed Krishna and pressed him in his coils. That time, the Brijavasis, they felt many inauspicious symptoms. Some quivering of the left side of the body, some cows crying, some birds making disturbance. The Brijavasis thought, oh, something has happened to Krishna. Therefore all ran towards the cup, and there they saw their Kanaya in the grips of Kalia. Mahoda and the Brijavasis, they wanted to enter into the river of Yamuna. It may be Yasoda is thinking, oh Kalia, Krishna is only very small. He is not even one mouthful. Take me, take us, if you release Krishna. But Baladev, he is Guru Tattva, the protector of all Brijavasis. Therefore Balaram, with his arms, he stopped everyone. Don't. You don't know the power of my brother. So Krishna was like that for 48 minutes, I think. Then all the gopis were crying. Some gopis were unconscious. And as they were unconscious, they were remembering Krishna. Then Krishna said, now I will give punishment to Kalia. Therefore Krishna began dancing on the head of Kalyana. So one poet says, Tanda Gatimandal Bodana Chadagiridhari Pam 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 Paga Patakara Pan 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 Panatkari Bimedkari Naga Vaduhari Vividya Dam 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 Deva Sakala Gan 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 Davikadana Chatate Tare Sasasasasana Kanike Nananana Munike Mama 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 Deva Bom Bom Boli Hari. Surdas Prabhukavani Kim Kim Ne Kiruna Jani Dan 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 Charana Pakata Nirboy Bayahari Tanda Gati Mundan Purana So much Surdas has described. He danced on the head of Kali, how? Just like we saw this girl doing Bharatanatyam. Pam 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 paga patakara. With his feet, Krishna was making some nice rhythm. Pan 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 panatkari. And from one pan means head. Head to another head to another head, and chaka 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 cha. And then Kali would go ah. He would stomp on the head of Kaliya. That time, the musicians, like the Vidyadharas, they were trying to keep up with Krishna's dancing because they know of music in the Vedas. But Krishna is outside the Veda. Therefore, the rhythms that Krishna would... Oh, the Vidyadharas, they could not do anything. They threw away their mridangas. Naj the Tayatari. They only clapping their hands. That time, big sadhus like Sasasasana Kadike, Nananana Munike, Mama 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 De, Bom Bom Boli Hari. Narad Muni, Mahadev, Haribol, Haribol. They saw Krishna's wonderful dancing. Dun, dun, isn't it? Then Surdas says, who can describe completely the dancing of Sri Krishna on the head of Kaliya? By putting his foot stamp on the head of Kaliya, he took away all his fear. Tandav Gati Mundan Paranach the Giridhari. All glories to that Giridhari Krishna. So that time Krishna, he may be showing, to the gopis, how much I can dance on the head of a snake. Imagine how much I will dance nicely with you in Ras Leela in the future. So when Krishna would stomp his foot, then Kaliya would feel the weight of the Lord, his head would be crushed. So he was bleeding, vomiting blood, vomiting poison, his eyes were weeping. When all his poison was outside, then he looked at Krishna and then he could understand Krishna. A little bit. This is no any boy, this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Just like we are full of anarthas, full of poison, then how we can see Gurudev, how we can see the Vaishnavas, how we can see the deity, Mahaprasad, because we are full of unwanted things. Srila Chimakarma said, you want to embrace Krishna, but you are covered in stool. So first clean yourself, then embrace Krishna. So when all the poison was out of Kaliya, then he could little understand Sri Krishna. In his mind, he surrendered at the feet of the Lord. That time the Nagapatnis, the wife of Kaliya, they approached Krishna and they offered prayers. Kaliya had been living there so long time. Because of the mercy of Yamuna, because of the association of his wives, who were pure devotees, then some surrender came to the feet of Krishna. Oh Krishna, please don't kill me. 4 types of persons approach to Krishna. One of them is fear. So Kaliya surrendered to Krishna, and the wives offered many wonderful prayers. Time there, so I don't know them. Time is not. They said, oh Krishna, you are very, very merciful. Therefore your punishment is an act of great mercy. Just like if Gurudev punishes someone, we should not think Gurudev is cruel or he doesn't love that person. This is an act of great mercy. Oh Krishna, your punishment, Kaliya, is very kind. Even Lakshmi could not get your foot dust, but you gave to this serpent. Therefore they prayed so much. Nana kapreshtam, nacha sauvabhaumam, na paramestam, na rasadi patyam, na yogisidim apuna bhavancha. Vanshita ye pararoje prapan. Oh Krishna, anyone who even does pranam to your foot dust, speak of getting foot dust on your head, vanshita ye pararaj prapana, who only does pranam to your foot dust, that person becomes so exalted. Nanaka prestam nachasa. They are not interested in this whole earth planet. They're naparamestam nacha. They're not interested in the heavenly planets up to Lord Brahma. Nachara sadi patyam. They're not interested in even the lower heavenly planets like Rasatal. Na yogisiddhima puna bhuvamscha. They are not interested even in liberation from birth and death. Such is the greatness of that person who achieves, who just does pranam to you, who does. So much tattva siddhanta, they pray to Krishna. Oh Krishna, you are time. You are the witness of time. You are the shelter of time. You are this creation. You are also the creator. We offer our pranams to you and to Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. So many prayers. And finally, please be kind on our husband who has surrendered to you. Then Kalia, he became a little inspired, but his prayer is a little funny. He prayed, oh Krishna, out of all species of life, the snake is the most envious. And you have created everyone. No one can act against their nature. Therefore, please me and give me another body. So his prayer also little So then Krishna said, oh Kalia, you are my devotee, but you cannot stay in Vrindavan because you will make everything so much poisonous. Therefore go to Fiji with your wives. Yes, Ramana Dweep. And he went there with the punjas. He went there and lived there. And he also an example of someone who got the mercy of Sri Krishna. So we are also like small Kaliyas, only I have one head, but we are poison. Kaliya represents envy. So until Gurudev or his represent pam 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 pa da kata kata, till Gurudev or Bhagavan dance, our anatas will not go out also. Therefore, Manjara Kalpachurabhas Charakapasinubhya Charakapasinubhya.
Nagpatni told that Kasyan Bhavo Asana. What austerities in past lives you have, Kali has done. That even Brahma, Shankar, demigods, even Lakshmi, Shivans, they want all that Krishna should put up his feet on our heads, but they have never so chance. So how, Kali? Say, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and others, they have described how, why it came so. Kaliya Nag is so fortunate. Oh, he was from Vrindavan, he was about 7 or 8 yugs. 20 Chaturjug. 24 Chaturjug. So long time. If anyone, one night even he will be in Vrindavan, Brajmandal or Mathura, Krishna Bhakti Prajayati. Diva Prajayati. So Bhakti. And he is long time here. Also, we should know that if enemy is any sadhu purush, devotee of Krishna, even enemy is better than a friend who is materialistic. So, by Garud was not thinking, he was Ajatsatru because he is devotee. But Kali always thought that he is my enemy. But he was not enemy. He always desired that Kali should anyhow be liberated and he should be a good devotee of Krishna. So by his mercy, Krishna put his feet on his head. Also, due to the chasticity of his wife thought that now Kali has become devotees. He has taken surrender of Krishna. So now he is devotee, and we are also devotee. We want that our husband should not be killed. If he will be killed, then other snakes will come and forcibly they will test it. So they prayed that, oh, we want that you should give up our husband and we will both serve you. In this way, so many regions were there. Now, one day Krishna grazing calves, he went near Talvan, where tall trees, palm forest, and very beautiful, sweet fruits were there. So the boys told, they asked Baldev Prabhu, oh, we want to take the very sweet fruit of Talvan. We are very hungry. And what was done after that? Sridhar Maharaj will speak in brief.
Gurave Gaurachanda Kaya Taralaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarabhaktaya Namo Namaha. I first of all offer millions and millions of Dandavat pranams unto the lotus feet of my beloved Gurudev, Om Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Parirajikacharya Asto Tadasarashi Shimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj, and unto all the Sridhandi Sannyasika and all the Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord, Dandavat pranams. So Srila Gurudev this evening is taking us all to Sri Vrindavan Dham and the beautiful, exceptional, astonishing pastimes of Krishna in his early childhood pastimes. So Srila Gurudev described that after the Gopastan festival, that Krishna, he took the cows grazing, all calves grazing with all the boys. And in this chapter, in the 10th canto of the killing of Dhenukasura, it begins with Krishna wandering in the beautiful forest of Vrindavan. And it's described how Krishna's eyes were seeing the beauty of Vrindavan, and his ears were hearing the beautiful humming of the bumblebees, and his tongue was tasting the fresh, sweet water of the bubbling streams and creeks, and the wind, the beautiful soft breeze, was touching his skin. So all of his senses were being completely satisfied by the beauty and sweetness of Sri Vrindavan. His nose was smelling the fragrance of the beautiful flowers. And then Krishna, he began to glorify his wonderful brother, Baladev Prabhu. And he was saying how the trees are bowing over in honor of him, how the fruits are being given from the trees, how the flowers are blooming and blossoming. Actually, of course, this is all happening due to Krishna's presence, but Krishna was glorifying his brother and the beauty of Vrindavan. And then they were playing so many games with the cowherd. And at that time, Subal, Mangal, Sridhar, they approached Krishna and they were saying, oh, we're so hungry. Actually, of course, they weren't hungry at all. They were just wanting to perform a very beautiful, special pastime. So they were saying, oh, you please be a hero and kill this hunger. The Saka, he likes to inspire Viraras, this chivalry mood. So the Sakas were inspiring Krishna and Balaram to satisfy their hunger, and they were smelling the aroma of these very special tau fruits. It's described that these tau fruits were like dark like honeybees, and they were very juicy and fat, and their scent and their aroma was very intoxicating and inviting. And this aroma was going through this beautiful forest of Talvan. So they challenged Krishna to please go to this forest of the tau fruits and give us these tau fruits. We're so hungry. So this forest was actually under the control of Kamsa. The fruits were being taken to the palace of Kamsa, and it's described that there was a great demon residing in that forest called Dhenukasura. And Dhenukasura had actually eaten men. They caught birds. Even birds wouldn't fly over. They felt it was such a dangerous forest to go to. But nevertheless, Krishna and Balaram and all the cowherd boys, very courageously, they walked straight into that forest. And Baladev Prabhu at that time, he took the initiative, the lead, and he went to one tau tree, and he began to shake it very ferociously. And all the tau fruits, they began to pound on the ground, making a big noise. And immediately at that time, Dhenukasura, he came rushing out, braying madly. He was an ass demon, like half horse, half ass. And he came braying out with his teeth crashing together and his hoofs, very sharp hoofs, stamping on the ground. And he swung round with his back to Baladev, and he kicked both his hind legs in the chest of Baladev. But Baladev, he just ignored that as if some flower had been thrown against his chest. He took no notice of it at all. And then the demon ran around and round in circles, braying and braying. And then he turned round again to take another ferocious kick at the chest of Baladev. This time, Baladev Prabhu, he caught that demon Dhenukasura's legs, and he swung that demon around his head until the centrifugal force of that swinging took his life. And he swung that demon up into the high trees, these high tau trees. And one by one, as that demon hit the first tree, then the second tree crashed. And then that caused a whole domino effect of all the different trees dropping down. So many trees were crashed by the weight of that one demon. And then all of Dhenukasura's compatriots, all his followers, they all came rushing out, angry that their leader Dhenukasura had been so easily killed by this young cowherd boy. And then Krishna and Balaram together, they began the most amazing pastime. Both of them were catching these ass demons by the hind legs and swirling them around and around and around and throwing them into the tau trees. And all the tau trees were just crashing down along with the fruits. So at this time it's described that the fruits were actually spoiled because there was so much blood from all the demons over them. And actually later on the Pulinda, the tribeswomen, they came and took those fruits. But this demon, who is the first demon that Baladev Prabhu slays, is actually the representation of ignorance. An ass is like an ignorant creature. He just carries such a weight of washing and load and just takes a little bit of grass in payment for what he's carrying. So this signifies the slaying by Baladev Prabhu, who's the embodiment of Guru Tattva. He slays this anartha of ignorance. There's a very beautiful verse, Maya Buddhasya Jivasya Neonata Chatu Vidu Hriday Dubalyam Chaparad Satrishna Tattva Vibrama. This is saying the four types of anarthas that represent ignorance. This ignorance is the root of our sinful life. When this ignorance becomes purified, then our sinful activity will subside, will stop. So these four anarthas, this Hriday Dubalyam, this envy of other people, this Pratishta, this wanting to have more fame than Krishna, wanting to put ourselves in the spotlight rather than trying to illuminate the beauty and glories of the Supreme Lord Himself.
Thank you. It removes Ajnana. Donkey means of foolishness, Ajnanata, ignorance. But Baldev Prabhu, he takes all kinds of ignorance and he gives Krishna Tattva and Prema Bhakti. Now, one day, Krishna was grazing cows with, now he was grazing crops nearby anywhere, Govardhan hill or anywhere, and he saw that on the hill so many cows are there, giving up their new calves, and they are hankering after and running after their old calves. Well, they thought, why are these things? So he will speak more about this story. But very brief because I am time.
Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So we are so fortunate that we have been brought to Sri Dham by our beloved Srila Gurudev, and hearing for these past week all these beautiful pastimes of Srimad Bhagavatam and Sri Vrindavan Dham. So Srila Gurudev has brought us up to the 14th chapter of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And now, the most amazing story, which is called Brahma Vimohan Leela, is narrated by Shukadev Goswami. As Srila Gurudev told, one day, Krishna, Baladev Prabhu, he was noticing that the calves that were being grazed by Krishna, that there were cows, the mother cows, they were running down the hill and showing so much affection to their calves. And he also noticed that the cowherd men, so Baladev Prabhu was noticing that the cowherd men were showing so much, and he noticed that their affection for the sons and the cows' affection for their calves, even though the calves were grown-up calves by now, 1 year old, that they were extremely affectionate to them as they are for Krishna. Because all the Brijbasis in Vrindavan, they love Krishna more than they love their own sons. The cows love Krishna more than they love their own calves. So then Baladev Prabhu inquired from Krishna about the reason for this, and he came to understand that this was the mystic power of his younger brother Krishna. But there is a very great secret behind this, and this story is now explained by Shukadev Goswami, why this was so. So, Lord Brahma, who is the supreme creator of this universe, Lord Brahma noticed Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan, when specifically there was the killing of the snake demon, Aghasur, who had expanded himself as a huge snake. And when he saw Krishna rescue the cowherd boys from the belly of this snake, and he had killed the snake demon, then he saw that the Atma of Aghasur entered into the lotus feet of Krishna. So Lord Brahma, he was very attracted to this, and he desired to see more sweet pastimes of Krishna. So therefore, an inspiration came into his heart, and also he began to use his intelligence, his own intelligence,
And therefore now he was watching Krishna one day. When Krishna went to the bank of the Jamuna River, herding the young calves, and with all of his cowherd boyfriends who were very young, like Krishna, only 5 years old. So when Krishna and the cowherd boys were going along the bank of the Jamuna, they saw a very nice place where there was an extensive place of sand where they could all sit down together and they could enjoy their lunch together. So every day, whenever Krishna would leave for the forest of Vrindavan along with his cowherd boyfriends, they would carry lunch bags which their mothers had made for them. So at this place in the forest, where there were beautiful grasses nearby, very nice shady trees, so Krishna told his cowherd boyfriends, let us sit here and let us take our lunch here. So now all the cowherd boys who were very happily playing with Krishna, and Krishna was their very life and soul, now they all sat down. Krishna sat down in one place, and the cowherd boys sat down in lines surrounding Krishna in various rows, hundreds and thousands of cowherd boys. And they all brought out their lunches and placed them on sometimes leaves, some on top of rocks. They took out all the foodstuffs that were packed. They put them on flowers. And in this way, very happily, they were playing together and taking lunch with Krishna. Each cowherd boy was actually looking at Krishna, although they were a distance away from Krishna even, but by Krishna's transcendental potency, because he is the supreme absolute, who is the center of the entire creation, therefore Krishna showed each cowherd boy that he was looking directly at them and reciprocating with them, eye to eye. So, in this way, all the cowherd boys were playing together very happily, taking their foodstuffs, and they were also sometimes tasting the foodstuffs of one another. And the cowherd boys were so intimately praying with such sakyara, such friendship, that they would even take food out of their own mouths and give it to another cowherd boy. Here, taste this. This is so wonderful. And sometimes they would even joke and laugh. And one cowherd boy, he would take a samosa that had been made by his mother, and he would take out the ingredients from inside of the samosa, and he would put a flower inside of there, and then it's flour in this, and then he would give it to another cowherd boy, and he'd say, "Oh, taste this. This is very wonderful." So then the cowherd boy would bite on it, and he would taste, "Oh, very bitter," and make a funny face, and then that cowherd boy would laugh, and in this way, so much joking and exchanging was going on between them. So as this was going on and Krishna was enjoying with the cowherd boys, at that time they noticed that the calves had strayed very far distance away. They couldn't see them anymore. And then the cowherd boys wanted to go and bring them, but Krishna told them, "Oh, no, you should stay here. I will go and bring them. And very shortly I will return." So now Krishna left that place and he went looking for the calves. In the meantime, Lord Brahma, who was overlooking this whole scene, he now thought, let me test Krishna. So he took those calves which had been wandering by his mystic power, and he took them into a cave. He placed them inside of a cave near the Jamuna River, and he hid them there. And he placed them in a kind of mystic sleep. So now Krishna, who was looking everywhere, he could not find the calves. And then he returned back to the place where the cowherd boys had been sitting. And then when he came back to that place, he also saw that the cowherd boys were not there. Why? Because Brahma had also taken the cowherd boys and placed them into that cave. So now Krishna was thinking, I can understand that this is Brahma who is trying to test me. And he also, in his Naravad Leela, he was thinking, how can I go back to the village of Vrindavan without the calves and without the cowherd boys? Mother Yashoda will be very upset with me. So then Krishna,
by his transcendental supreme potency, Sri Krishna himself expanded himself as every single cowherd boy. He became identically each cowherd boy with their particular facial features, their particular dress, the shapes of their hands, their eyes, their voices, their personalities. He became each and every calf also, expanded himself as each calf. And in this way, now Krishna went with all the calves and the cowherd boys, continued his pastimes in the forest of Vrindavan, and then at the end of the day, Krishna now went into the village of Vrindavan, and he went back to his home, and when he came back, and all the village people of Vrindavan were waiting for Krishna to come home with all the cowherd boys and the calves. Now they all saw Krishna, and they saw the cowherd boys and the calves, and they became completely overwhelmed with love and affection for their cowherd boys. So now Krishna, in the form of every cowherd boy, he entered into every house in Vrindavan. And also as the calf, he entered into the cowsheds. And now, in this form, all the elderly gopis of Vrindavan and cowherd men who really loved Krishna more than they loved their own sons, and they always wanted, they always desired, oh, if we could only have Krishna as our son, like Mother Yashoda has him. So now Krishna fulfilled their desire, and he personally became their sons. They were able to bathe him, to feed him, to dress him, to decorate him. And all the mother cows, who also loved Krishna more than they loved their calves, now those cows were able to personally give milk from their own milk bags, and personally lick the bodies of their calves. And in this way, Krishna satisfied their desire. So, in this way, for one whole year, Krishna continued every day performing his pastimes, going into the forest of Vrindavan with the calves and cowherd boys, coming home at night, going into all the homes. During this 1 year also, there was a proclamation by Bhagavati Rishi? Purnamasi Devi. Purnamasi Devi was always revered by all the Brijvasis. They followed every one of her orders. And she told them that this year is the most auspicious time for marrying all the young cowherd girls to the young cowherd boys. Because in the Vedic times, they would be married very young. They would not live together, but they would be married together, and they would grow up knowing that, oh, he is my husband, she is my wife. So all the young cowherd girls married the young cowherd boys. And in this way, Krishna fulfilled the desire of the young cowherd girls to have Krishna as their dearly beloved. So like this, during this 1 year, Lord Brahma, in the meantime, because his time period is very long compared to earthly time, 1 moment of his time is 1 entire year of earthly time. So during the time after he had stolen the calves and cowherd boys, put them in the cave, then Lord Brahma, he returned back to his abode in Brahmalok. And when he came there, he wanted to enter into the palace of Brahmalok. But the guards in the gateway, they prevented him from entering. And they said, no, you cannot enter here. He said, why? I am Lord Brahma. I am your master. He said, no. You are only an impostor. Our master is inside the palace. And he has told us that an impostor, he will come here saying, I am Lord Brahma. We should not let him enter. So who was that other Lord Brahma in Brahmaji's palace? That was Krishna himself, who expanded himself as Brahma. Now Brahma began to think, oh, I am being defeated. Something is not in order here. So he went immediately, within that same moment that he returned back, he immediately came back to the earthly planet. And when he came back to the earthly planet, he went to the same place, on the bank of the Jamuna, to look where the calves and the cowherd boys were. When he came there, he saw that they were still there. He saw that all the cowherd boys were sitting just as before he stolen them. they were sitting there taking their lunch with Krishna very happily. And he saw all the calves nearby grazing. So then Lord Brahma thought, oh, what is happening here? And immediately he went to the other place where he had put the original cowherd boys in the cave. And when he went there, he saw they were also in the cave. And then he went back to the place on the bank of the Jamuna. He saw that they were simultaneously there. And because he has 4 heads, he's able to look simultaneously in all directions. He looked in both places simultaneously, and he saw they were both there. So now he realized, uh-oh, I have made a mistake. Oh, now I have seen that Krishna's mystic power, oh, it is so far superior to my mystic power. And then, at that time, Lord Brahma began to feel in his heart repentance for trying to test Krishna's mystic power. And he, at that time, he was able to get the vision. Krishna allowed him to see that every single cowherd boy and every calf, they now manifested in front of Brahmaji's eyes as very beautiful Vishnu forms with 4 arms, holding conch shell, disc, flower and club, lotus flower and club. And they were so beautifully decorated with golden ornaments. He saw that these powerful Vishnu forms were actually manifested in all directions. And he began to see all the demigods, all the different manifestations of the universe, taking forms and praising these Vishnu forms, offering prayers to them. And now Lord Brahma became completely overwhelmed. Even though he is the supreme creator of this material world, he became completely overwhelmed by Krishna's mystic power. And now he began to repent. So Brahmaji at this time, he immediately came to Krishna when Krishna was going in the forest, just nearby to that place. And he came and he fell down at Krishna's lotus feet. And he paid his obeisances. He came there on his swan carrier. And when he came and paid his obeisances at Krishna's lotus feet, now he stood up. And his big powerful form with golden crowns on his head and tears rolling from his eyes. Now Lord Brahma, he began to offer prayers to Krishna. And these prayers are called Brahma Stuti. Okay. So in the beginning, Lord Brahma told that no midyate Brahma Bhushe. Yes. He told that, oh, you are so beautifully standing in front of me as a beautiful cowherd boy. You are decorated with gunjamala and golden cloth like lightning. Your beautiful body resembles like a dark rain cloud. And your earrings are beautifully decorating your beautiful lotus face. Oh, how beautiful you are appearing before me as a cowherd boy. But yet I understand that you are actually the supreme absolute truth, the supreme controller of this entire universe. And in comparison with your mystic power, my powers are simply like a little firefly in comparison with the sun. And your glories are so great that even the greatest philosophers and scientists, if they are able to count the atomic particles in the sun rays, they will still never be able to count the extent of your great glories. He said, no one can understand you, but only by the process. And he said, Jnane prayasam udapasya namanta eva jivanti sanmukaritam bhavadiya vartam stane stita shudigatam tanuvan manobir. Yes. Ye prayaso jidajitopya sitais trilokyam. He said, only if someone gives up this attempt to understand you, Jnane prayasam, they try to understand you with their intelligence, with their brain, and they simply surrender at your lotus feet. And they continue the process of hearing about you from the Yan Mitram Paramanandam, Purna Brahma Sanatanam, that supreme Purna Purna Brahma Krishna, who is the eternal absolute truth, he has come as the very son and the very friend of all the Brijbasis. And he is living with them. How fortunate! Aho bhagyam, how fortunate they are. Then Lord Brahma said, if I can only take birth as some kind of little piece of stone even in Vrindavan, that I can have the dust of the lotus feet of the Brijbasis on my head, then I will consider myself fortunate. And in this way Lord Brahma offered prayers to Lord Krishna.
Any man can tell that I know Krishna, what is Krishna Tattva, but I, having 4 heads, I cannot imagine what is the glory of Krishna and who is Krishna. And praying so, and what Krishna was doing, he was keeping his hand on a friend's soldier, and one he was we are neglecting Brahma. Whether we are praying or not, he is not looking after him. And the boys used to tell him, oh, Choma, Choma, Choma. Who is Choma? Choma means 4-headed. And they were also joking, saying Brahma. After that, I wanted to speak on Gopi Geet, Bhramar Geet, Venu Geet, Jugal Geet, and so many things, and Divyonmad of Gopis. And when Apru went to Vrindavan, Braja, Nandagaon, and he saw the glory of Gopis, and then he prayed, Asamaho Charanareni Visamaham Syam. Oh, I want to be a dust of Vrindavan, that Gopi will go when to meet Krishna. His dust will come on my head, so I will be so fortunate. So I wanted, but be qualified. At any other time, we will discuss all this very, very interesting and very, very deep meaning. Now, I am very happy that everything here managed so well and everything is successful. But I invite you all for doing parikrama in Brajamandal after 2 weeks. I think that those who have no problem of money, they must come there. They should not fear for anything. We will manage everything. About more than 1,000 devotees from all world will come, and you should participate. And also I invite you all to come in Navadvip Parikrama. There at least 20,000 devotees will be gathered, and we will manage like miracle. So you will have not to worry for anything. We will do everything, or lodging, fooding, everything. So try to come to Vrindavan and Navadvip. And my heartily blessings to the managers who managed everything, Dharmaraj, Krishna Das, and his board of. Gau Pramanande Govinda Damodar Madhaveti Govinda Damodar Madhaveti Govinda Damodar Madhaveti Govinda Damodar Madhaveti Govinda Radhe 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 dear sons, we will meet in Vrindavan, Brajamandal, you must come. And in Navadip. Go, Prabha!